Greetings, esteemed friends. Today is the 26th of October 2025, and this is the traditional review of the combat operations map. As of today, a significant number of changes have been reported along virtually the entire line of combat contact. A great deal of news has also been received, which we will discuss. The primary changes are occurring in the Gulyaipole direction, as well as the Dnipropetrovsk direction. There are also changes in the Pokrovsk direction. News is coming from the Kostiantynivka direction. There are changes in the Siversk and Krasny-Lyman directions. Changes are noted in the area of Kupiansk, and news has arrived from Vovchansk, Lypsti, and the Sumy direction, which we will discuss and examine in this video report. Before we begin, as is customary, I would sincerely ask you to subscribe to the channel. As you know, your subscription greatly assists the channel's development. Let us begin our review, as is customary, with the Kherson Direction. Kherson Direction. Today, 6 aerial strikes by Russian aviation were recorded in the Kherson Direction. Strikes occurred near the settlement of Kozatske, near Orikhiv, Taya-Hinka, as well as in Kherson itself, and near the settlement of Antonivka. These 3 strikes marked on the map were conducted by Russian aviation. I remind you that Russian aviation operates here daily, and many civilians in Kherson are publishing videos showing strikes on AFU positions in the morning. AFU positions were also attacked near the settlement of Antonivka and near the settlement of Dnipropetrovsk. The Ukrainian side reports repelling 4 attacks by the Russians near Dnipropetrovsk and 3 attacks near the settlement of Daki. RF armed forces positions were attacked near the settlement of Zaplava and near Krynky. Krynky is located here, and also near the settlement of Hola Pristan. Regarding Karantynny Island, some pro-Russian sources assert that Russian forces are successfully advancing on this island. They claim the entire southern part is already under Russian control, but no confirming materials have been received. There were video reports of flags being placed in this area of operations, but nothing further has emerged. Videos are also published daily, showing artillery strikes on AFU positions on the island. This confirms an AFU presence here, despite the damaged bridge making resupply extremely difficult, as military equipment essentially cannot cross it. As of today, this is the news here. I remind you that FPV drones are operating 24 hours a day along the entire line of combat contact in this area of operations. Artillery is also active, with Russian fire directed at AFU positions and Ukrainian fire directed at Russian positions. Otherwise, that is all for this area today. Orikhiv Direction. Fierce fighting is taking place in the Orikhiv Direction, in Mala Tokmaka itself, as well as near the settlements of Stepnohersk and Primorsky. Let us begin with Stepnohersk. Russian forces are attempting to consolidate their positions in the central part of the settlement, but AFU FPV drone crews are preventing this. Some pro-Ukrainian sources claim the Russians were even pushed back, forcing Russian troops to slightly retreat from this area of operations. The main Russian positions are located in this micro-district, within the high-rise buildings. A Russian military presence in the southern part of Stepnohersk remains unconfirmed. There is counter-information from pro-Russian sources who claim that Russian forces are expanding their control zone, successfully driving the AFU out of the central part of the settlement with the help of FPV drones. However, no advances are currently being recorded by either the Ukrainian or Russian side here. It is also reported that Russian forces are advancing along the bank of the Dnipro River in the southern part of Primorsky, moving in this manner. I note that this information appears daily, for over a week now, yet no concrete advance has been recorded here. Information also indicates that the AFU is bringing up reserves daily, along with a massive number of FPV drone crews that are targeting Russian positions not only in Stepnohersk but also deep in the rear. RF armed forces positions were attacked near the settlements of Kamensky and Luhov. There were also strikes near Lisne and near the settlement of Stepov. AFU positions were attacked near the settlement of Pavlivka. Otherwise, that is the news here today. Let us move on to Mala Tokmaka. In the vicinity of Mala Tokmachka, Russian forces are expanding the control zone and straightening the front line. This salient is currently being cleared. Active attacks are underway against AFU positions near the settlement of Novodanilivka. Intense fighting is also ongoing in the central part of Mala Tokmaka itself. The Ukrainian side attempted a counterattack to dislodge the Russians from the center of Mala Tokmaka, but this failed. 2 assault groups were defeated. Some managed to retreat, while the rest were destroyed by FPV drone crews. Russian forces are now firmly holding the central part of Mala Tokmaka and actively attacking AFU positions in the remaining western part of the settlement. No advances in favor of either the Russian or Ukrainian army are being recorded today. Gulyaipole Direction. No serious changes have been recorded today in the Gulyaipole Direction, but data indicates that Russian forces are expanding the control zone to the west of the settlement of Malinivka and to the west of Poltavka. Malinivka is here, and Poltavka is here. Reports now suggest Russian forces are expanding the control zone. Thus, this entire territory, which I mark for you in red, has come under Russian control. Confirming materials have not yet been received. All information is currently arriving as news reports. I reiterate that changes are only added to the map after receiving confirmed information. Data also indicates that Russian forces are actively attacking AFU positions near the settlement of Vesely. Earlier attacks were reported on Vesely, Zeleny High, and Vysoko, and today, active attacks are focusing specifically on this settlement. Simultaneously, Russian forces are attacking AFU positions near the settlements of Novomykolaiivka and Uspanivka. Reports of assault operations on Uspanivka have been frequent, but no advances are currently being recorded here. That is the news here today. Let us move slightly further along the map. Dnipropetrovsk direction. There are changes in the Dnipropetrovsk direction, also affecting the Gulyaipole direction. The border between the Dnipropetrovsk and Zaporizhia oblasts runs here. Thus, the entire territory marked in red has now completely come under Russian control. This sector of combat operations, which I mark for you in red, has come under Russian control. The Ukrainian side has acknowledged the loss of this territory. Confirming materials have also arrived from pro-Russian sources. From this area of operations, all this territory marked in red has also come under Russian control today. Finally, confirming materials have arrived that the settlement of Zlahoda has completely come under the control of the RF armed forces, and Russian forces are already attacking AFU positions near the settlement of Ribna. All indications are that Russian forces are now straightening the front line up to the Yanchur River. Although there were repeated reports that this entire area was already under Russian control and was simply being cleared, earlier news indicated Russian forces had taken the settlement of Priviln, but confirming materials have yet to arrive. Therefore, we speak of it now. There is an advance of Russian forces near the settlement of Privol. Here, Russian forces are moving in the direction of the settlement of Yehorivka. Video material came from this point, showing the forward positions of Russian forces being attacked by AFU FPV drone crews. Thus, the entire territory marked in red has come under Russian control today. It is completely cleared and demined. The advance here was up to 600 meters. News is also coming from the settlement of Aristopil. Pro-Russian sources report that Russian forces are attacking AFU positions, moving from the directions of Oleksiivka and Sosnivka towards the settlement of Aristopil. There is video material today from this point, where Russian forward positions were located and subjected to AFU attacks. However, our map is marked slightly further. The front line currently runs in this manner. Earlier video material showing the forward positions of Russian forces was received from here. Today, video material came from this point. We can assume that this entire territory is now mostly in the gray zone, uncontrolled by either Ukrainian or Russian forces. Nevertheless, pro-Russian sources report an advance of up to 1 kilometer, although this was previously recorded here. As of today, these are the news and changes here. Let us move further along the map. Novopavlivka direction. There are changes in the Novopavlivka direction. Video materials have also been received from the settlement of Ivanivka, as well as from the settlements of Novomykolaiivka and Novoserhivka. Let us start with Ivanivka. As you know, this entire territory, marked in red, previously came under Russian control. Today, confirming materials arrived about the expansion of the control zone, and this entire territory is indeed under the control of the RF armed forces, completely cleared and demined. Video materials came today from this point, from the outskirts of the settlement of Ivanivka, where RF armed forces positions were attacked by FPV drones. Video material also came from this point, where a Russian group came under AFU fire. Thus, we can note that Russian forces are now north of the settlement of Filia. Earlier reports indicated Russian forces were expanding the control zone north of Filia toward the settlement of Novopavlivka. Today, video material came from this point. There are also changes near the settlements of Novomykolaiivka and Novoserhivka. Between these two settlements, Russian forces captured an AFU strongpoint. It is marked for you in yellow. All fortification lines are marked in yellow. Video material came from this point, showing Russian forces advancing by 1 kilometer and expanding their control zone, with all the territory marked in red coming under complete Russian control. This territory may have come under Russian control much earlier, but confirming materials only arrived today, so we are updating the map. Some pro-Russian mapping services have already colored the map this way, up to the border of Dnipropetrovsk Oblast, from Molodetsky to Novomykolaiivka. This entire marked territory is claimed to be under the control of the RF armed forces, but confirming materials have not been received. As soon as we receive video materials, we will update the map. All indications point to Russian forces expanding the control zone and moving towards the settlement of Novopavlivka from two sides. An advance will now occur from the Ivanivka side, and we already see movement from the side of the settlement of Novomykolaivka. This is how Russian forces will likely move in the near future. We will see an advance here if the AFU does not attempt to stabilize the front line. Pokrovsk Direction. There are not many changes from the Pokrovsk direction today, but some have been reported. A slight coloration error occurred on the map. Specifically, the map momentarily shifted. This territory, marked in red for you, is under Russian control. Disregard the error. I will correct the map tomorrow. There is also an advance of Russian forces in this area of operations. Video material was received yesterday from this point. Reports now indicate that this entire section up to the railway has been completely cleared and has come under the control of the RF armed forces. Data is also repeatedly arriving that Russian forces have reached Shozena Street in this area of operations, but confirming materials have not yet been received. As soon as they are received, we will update the map. Active clearing is currently underway in the Shakhtarsky, Sonyakny, and Lazarny micro-districts. Lazarny is already largely under the control of the RF armed forces. We await confirming materials from here to make accurate changes to the map. There are changes near Myrnarad. Russian forces are advancing in its southern part. Video material came from this point, showing the Russian forward positions, and the entire territory marked in red has come under complete control of the RF armed forces. The advance here was up to 800 meters in favor of Russian forces. That is the news here today. Let us move to the Dobropilya salient. Dobropilya salient. Both news and changes are coming from the Dobropilya salient. Let us start with the news. There are reports that Rodinske is practically under Russian control. Active clearing of this settlement is currently underway. Video material was previously received from this point. Russian forward positions were here, and Russian forces managed to reach the supply road leading to Pokrovsk and physically cut it off. Many pro-Russian sources now claim that Rodinske is being cleared, and that Krasny-Lyman has also come under Russian control. We expect to receive video materials or confirming information and update the map within the next 1 to 2 days. Nevertheless, it is already reported that the AFU is virtually blockaded in Pokrovsk. The only possibility for the AFU to leave Pokrovsk now is via dirt roads toward the settlement of Shevchenko. However, all these roads are under the close observation of FPV drones, and Ukrainian servicemen will sustain significant losses upon exiting. That is the news here today. Let us turn to the changes in the Dobropilya salient. There are advances in the Dobropilya salient, favoring both the Ukrainian and Russian armies. AFU forward positions were at this point. Strikes were conducted on AFU positions here. Thus, we can conclude that the AFU is present in this area of operations. There are buildings and a private sector here. The AFU is now taking this entire territory, marked in yellow, under its control. Information was previously received that Vilna had come under AFU control. The Russian side did not acknowledge the loss of Vilna, although Russian forces had previously taken Vilna under their control, after which the AFU counterattacked and pushed the Russians back. Video materials have now arrived from this point. This entire territory may already be completely cleared and under AFU control. There is also an advance of Russian forces. Russian forces have advanced in the settlement of Shakov. Video material came from this point, showing the forward positions of the RF armed forces. Thus, the entire territory marked in red has come under Russian control. The advance here was up to 1 kilometer in the direction of this settlement. All indications are that the AFU will effectively lose Shakov within the next few days. If the AFU does not attempt to counterattack, stabilize the front line, and push the Russians back, Shakov will likely be lost, and with it, the settlement of Volodymyrivka. Thus, Russian forces are gradually clearing this salient. Active attacks are now underway on Sofivka and Toretsk. Airstrikes are also being recorded north of these settlements near Priut, Torska, Krasny Kut, Toretsk, and Novorihorivka. Everything suggests that after taking Toretsk, Sofivka, Shakov, and Volodymyrivka, Russian forces will expand the control zone by moving north and also expand the control zone toward the settlement of Dobropilya. That is the news here today. Let us move further along the map. Kostiantynivka direction. No changes are reported from the Kostiantynivka direction today. Changes occurred yesterday. Video material was received from this point. Russian forward positions were located here, and the advance of Russian forces amounted to up to 1.5 kilometers. News Today reports only fierce fighting near the settlement of Plishkivka, despite the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation claiming that Plishkivka has already come under Russian control, confirming materials have not been received. Active attacks are also underway on AFU positions near the settlements of Stepanivka and Berostok. Otherwise, there are no serious changes or news here today. Siversk Direction. Changes, news and video materials are coming from the Siversk Direction. Let us start with the southern part. Video material was received yesterday from this point, reporting that Russian forces had expanded the control zone up to 1 kilometer west of the settlement of Vyemka. News is now arriving that Russian forces are actively clearing the pocket formed between Kuzmanivka and the settlement of Vyemka. This entire territory is now being cleared, and significant changes may be seen in this area of operations within the next 2 days. There are also changes in this area of operations. Video material came from this point. Russian forward positions were located in the tree lines. The advance here was up to 400 meters in favor of the Russian army, and the entire territory marked in red has come under complete Russian control. As you can see, the AFU has a fortified area here, marked in yellow lines for you. There is also a fortified area in the southern part of Siversk, and Russian forces are currently bypassing this fortified area. Assault operations may already be underway at the time of recording. As soon as additional information is received, we will update the map. There are changes north of the settlement of Siversk. Video material came from this point. Russian forces have expanded the control zone, and virtually this entire territory has completely come under the control of the Russian military. We may see the clearing of this entire pocket up to the settlement of Dronivka in the coming days. This entire territory is currently marked as controlled by the AFU, but the AFU may no longer be present in this area of operations. Today, the expansion of the control zone was up to 1 kilometer west of the settlement of Serebryanka. Also, as you know, Dronivka came under complete Russian control yesterday, as stated by the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation. Video materials also arrived today from this point, confirming full control over this settlement by the RF armed forces. Reports are already arriving that Russian forces are moving toward the settlement of Platonivka. Russian forces are moving in this manner to reach the supply road, physically cut it off, and effectively semi-encircle Siversk. That is the news here today. Let us move further along the map. Krasny-Lyman Direction. News is coming from the Krasny-Lyman direction regarding the settlement of Gulyaipole. Fierce fighting is taking place west of the settlement. AFU positions in the forest areas were attacked, but no advances are being recorded today in favor of either the Russian or Ukrainian army. There is an advance near the settlement of Novoselivka. Russian forces are moving from the direction of the settlement of Shandry-Holov toward the settlement of Novoselivka. Video material came from this point. As you know, there was earlier news that Russian forces could not take this settlement head-on and would bypass it from the direction of Shandry-Holov. Today, confirmed information arrived about the expansion of the control zone in favor of the Russian army by up to 2 kilometers in this area of operations. Assault operations on Novoselivka itself may begin in the coming days. If Russian forces take control of Novoselivka and Drobyshev, the supply road to Lyman will be completely cut off. This is because the main road runs through Sviatohirsk and Yarova, Drobyshev to Lyman. Resupply from Lyman also goes toward the settlement of Gulyaipole. If all supply roads are severed here, Lyman will effectively be left without resupply and will be in a state of semi-encirclement, as all crossings over the Seversky Donets River are being completely destroyed. Ukrainian servicemen cannot erect a crossing before it is immediately destroyed by RF Armed Forces FPV drone crews. The situation for the AFU here is critical. That is the news here today. Let us move on to Kupiansk. Kupiansk Direction. Both news and changes are coming from Kupiansk. There is information that Ukrainian servicemen in Kupiansk itself are in a state of semi-encirclement, and the entire northern part up to the supply road is under Russian control. Some pro-Russian mapping services have virtually completely colored Kupiansk. It is reported that active clearing of this settlement is underway. However, we report no changes here today, as no confirming information has been received. There are changes near the settlement of Kurylivka. Russian forces were previously moving from the direction of Pishchain toward this settlement. Information indicated Russian forces managed to consolidate on the eastern outskirts of Kurylivka, but confirming materials were not received. Today, finally, confirming material arrived from this point. Russian forward positions were located here. The advance here amounted to up to 3 kilometers. At this point, Russian forces installed the flag of the Russian Federation. However, Kurylivka is not yet fully under Russian control, despite the flag being installed. The situation is critical for the entire AFU grouping in this area of operations. Although the Ukrainian command issued an order to abandon positions and retreat across the Oskil River, the AFU can only exit on foot, leaving behind equipment and all weapons. RF Armed Forces FPV drone crews are actively targeting AFU positions here, as well as those attempting to evacuate. That is the news here today. Significant changes in favor of the Russian army may occur here within the next 2 weeks. We continue to monitor the situation in this area of operations and move on. AFU positions were attacked near the settlement of Kamenka. I remind you that AFU positions are north of the settlement of Kamenka. Active fighting is underway here, with attacks on AFU positions. AFU positions were also attacked near the settlements of Kolodizna and Dvorochanska. The map color was updated near the settlement of Balahivka. It has completely come under Russian control. Russian forces are now already attacking the next settlements, Kolodizna and Dvorochanska. All indications point to an expansion of the control zone in favor of the Russian army here. News will definitely arrive from here in the coming days, and we will update the map. That is the news and changes here today. Let us move on to Vovchansk. Vovchansk Direction. Fierce fighting is taking place in the Vovchansk area near the settlement of Sinelnikov and near the settlement of Vovchansky Khutori. No advances are currently being recorded here. The same applies to the Lypsti direction. RF Armed Forces positions were attacked near the settlement of Hliboka, and AFU positions were attacked in Lypsti itself. FPV drones are striking Russian and AFU positions here daily. FPV duels, so-called, are taking place. That is the news here today. Let us move to the Sumy direction. Sumy direction. Data from the Sumy direction indicates that AFU positions are being attacked near the settlements of Kondrativka, Andriivka, Oleksiivka, and near the settlements of Sadki and Maryin. RF Armed Forces positions are being attacked near the settlement of Unikovka. No advances are being recorded here in favor of either the Ukrainian or Russian army. The front line here is currently on pause. That is our news for today. Thank you all for watching. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Until next time.